is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolved video. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed their 4th of July. I surely enjoyed mine. I spent mine with friends and family and loved ones, and I hope you guys did too. But today, we're going to be talking about Havencraft. And to get into specifics of which Havencraft we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the Omen of Repose himself, Marwin. So when I first looked at this deck, I was very confused on how some of the interactions were and how some things were going, but today I'm going to really break down how most of the cards are going to work, how this deck functions, when do you want to do things, and then we will figure out how that goes. But before we get into the deck and what the cards do, let's figure out what the pros and cons are for Omen of Repose. Alright, so the pros for the Repose deck is that it's a control deck, it has plays on both turns, it has damage reduction, and it has ward/aura. Alright, you should already know that since you're playing a Havencraft deck, there's going to be some sort of control elements in it. With the new cards that are coming in, there's going to be plays on both turns, and with the damage reduction of a new card, it's going to be pretty good going into Forte and whatnot. And then there's a awesome new legendary, if you already peeked it, that has Ward and Aura. Now on the downside of things, it is very hard to get through the early game. There is a turn skip with one of the cards, and then it does take some time to set up, and then if you get any interruption in that, that'll definitely hurt your game plan. And then there's a Bane counter for the deck, so Abysscraft can really steamroll through this deck. Okay, so let's talk about Marwin. So Marwin is the 4-cost legendary that came out of this set. You can evolve him for 4, but you can also evolve him by skipping your next turn to evolve him. And then when you evolve him, he has Ward and Aura, and then on evolve, you increase your maximum play points by 1, and then you give your leader +3 defense, and then you draw a card. So this card is really good because you're going to have Ward and Aura. He's an 8/8, and then he does a whole bunch of things. Even though you do skip your next turn, you're going to get that increase in the play points, you're going to get the heal just in case they might be able to get through your ward, and then you can draw a card to replace the card that you played. My recommendation is to not play this card on 4 and then evolve it, because you will be skipping your next turn, which you don't really want to do. But if you're against a matchup where they're really slow and they don't really play anything, then I don't see why you can't do it. But you do give your opponent some good time to set up if you play this on 4 and then evolve it. But you will be playing some other cards with it that'll also help in skipping your next turn to get some buffs. So let's go ahead and figure out what those cards are. And we have the Repose cards. So these are all the Repose cards that came out of the set that'll definitely help when playing Marwin. Or to search out your Marwins, we have the Savior spell card, Servant of Repose, and then Apostle of Repose. Alright, so looking at the first card, we have the Saviors. It's a 1-cost spell. You can choose one of the following. You can either search your deck for a Marwin Omen of Repose, reveal it and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck, or 2, select the enemy follower with 2 defense or less on the field and banish it. So one thing I personally love to do is searching out my boss monsters or my legendaries for my deck, and then having the option to have like some sort of angelic snipe, and essentially this card also deals with Veilbringer so your opponent doesn't get the draw. Alright, and then we have Servant of Repose. So at the start of each opponent's main phase, give your leader +1 defense. Alright, so this card is going to be really good in Glory Finder, I believe, because you're going to be gaining 1 multiple times since you have multiple opponents against you. But I think in Standard Shadowverse Evolved, this card is going to be paired up well with Marwin because, you know, you're going to get some health back along with the Marwin +3, while on your opponent's turn, you're going to gain 1 defense along with the Ward Aura after you've warded up. And then if they can't get through to the Marwin, you're going to gain another one after the evolve skip if you use that ability. And then we have Apostle of Repose, so she costs 2 to evolve. And then at the start of each opponent's main phase, you recover 1 play point. And then along with her evolve, you can select a reserved enemy follower on the field and banish it. And at the start of each opponent's main phase, you recover 2 play points. So these are the followers you're going to be wanting to play along with Marwin, so you can get some sort of advantage from skipping your turn. With Servant of Repose, either healing or Apostle of Repose, just checking a follower, banishing it, and then recovering 2 play points at least twice is pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about the damage negation. So we have the 1-cost Amulet, Realm of Repose. So you can engage it in quick timing to put this card into its owner's cemetery, and for the rest of this turn, if your leader would take more than 4 damage, it takes 4 instead. So no longer is Havencraft playing at everybody's will of the game. So now, Havencraft has a card that can essentially say, well, if you're going to be swinging at me for 7, looking at you, Forte, or if you're going to be swinging at me with big cards with big numbers, well, you can change that number to 4. So this is a good backup plan for Marwin, essentially, since you have that evolve skip turn and your opponent can really play a whole bunch of like maybe rushed followers to go ahead and rush into him. Or if you're against the Abysscraft counter and then they just have one card that is Bane, this is a pretty good backup plan to have for that very next turn because they're going to definitely be setting up to kill you. So we did talk about the damage negation, but let us talk about the recovery. So we have Deus Ex Machina. She's also the other legendary that came out in this set. So at the start of your end phase, you choose one of the following. You can either discard your hand and draw 4 cards, or recover 4 play points. So there's one thing I can say about control decks is there are some instances where we don't have the tools that we need in our hand. Well, with this card, we definitely have another chance at life to potentially drawing into it, or we have the secondary option of recovering 4 play points to do some plays on our opponent's turn in quick timing. So here are some things to consider when playing the Omen of Repose deck. We have Enstatued Seraph, Alana's Prayer, and Heavenly Aegis. I love the Repose cards as much as anybody else, but we're going to need a second line of play when playing this deck. So the first card we're going to be talking about is Enstatued Seraph. This is definitely not going to be the popular option, but if you do want to put it into your deck, I'm not going to hate on you for it. But the one thing about Enstatued Seraph is you have to commit a whole bunch of things to do it in one play, and then if you're not playing it in the Heal Amulet deck, you lose so much. So it's kind of a lost tempo card, but when it does go off, it does feel good. Alright, and then we have Alana's Prayer. So this is a good card to be in combination with the Repose deck, because Marwin is going to heal on his evolved form. He's going to turn into a 9/9, so he's even bigger. And then if you use any of the other Repose cards that are going to be doing things on your opponent's turn, like healing, then you get a double buff. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Heavenly Aegis. So this is a card that people are definitely going to be thinking about in terms of late game. He is a boss monster. He does the same thing as Marwin does, but he's going to be a lot later in the game. So I wouldn't put too many of them in your deck because, you know, if you're not going to be running a Statue Seraph to make him free, or using Aetherwing or something like that, he's definitely going to be a clunky card to have in your hand. Alright, so here are some tech cards that you're going to be needing in the deck to help you out with certain matchups. You should already know we have Angelic Snipe for the aggro matchup, we have Surefire Bullet to get those pesky evolved followers that become 4/4s in the mid game, and then we have Urd for the egg matchup or any of the Fable matchups where we're going to be putting those cards in the EX area and then just banishing them away. Alright, and we are finally at the grade of the deck, and if you already know how the series works, we're going to take a look at a sample deck list that I created for the deck, and I'm going to put the deck code down in the description below, so let's go ahead and see what a sample of this deck looks like. Alright, so here's my version of the deck. I'm going to go with the Alana's Prayer build. It's pretty strong paired up with Marwin. I'm not going to go over every single card, but I am going to talk about like some core things that you should really think about. So with the Servant of Repose, she's going to be healing on your opponent's turn, while Marwin on the evolve with Alana's Prayer, he's already going to be a 9/9 with his own heal. If you have Servant of Repose, he's going to turn into a 10/10. And then if your opponent does not get through to him in that very same turn, if you use the skip turn evolve, you can definitely heal again, buff up your followers again, and they'll be really strong. And then the last card I'm going to be talking about is Radiance Angel. It'll be helping you draw through your deck, and then evolve to heal with the Alana's Prayer. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be putting the deck code down in the description below, so go ahead and check it out if you want to. Let's go ahead and get back into that grade. Alright, so what we know about Heavenly Repose is that we have a big boss monster that comes out pretty early in the game. He's going to be pretty nice. There is a Bane counter to it because he does have Warden Ore, and unfortunately he does not have the Heavenly Aegis ability to ignore the Bane. So he is going to be wiped out pretty fast if we're up against a deck that just has Bane in it. But we do have other cards that really help in terms of, you know, healing and then getting to where we need to be to get Marwin a big boss monster after the deck list that I created. But if you can come up with something different, you know, feel free to. But in terms of the grade of the deck, I believe this deck is very strong, and I wouldn't give it anything less than an A. It's very strong, has good options, it is control, it's Haven, so you should already know Haven is just the mother of control and removing things, so you can definitely cater your deck to how it needs to be. So that's what I would give Heavenly Repose. Well, alright guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. You don't know how much it means to me that you're watching this stuff. Make sure you guys are safe in whatever you do tonight, and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.